If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. I've been meaning to show you this clip. You're going to get a kick out of it, which was on a local news affiliate about a month ago, maybe a little bit more than a month ago, towards the end of this summer anyway. And they were openly talking about how in Dubai, the government was manipulating the weather because of a drought. Isn't that like insane, since we've all talked about geoengineering, chemtrailing, you name it, and what they're trying to do with being able to manipulate weather, and we constantly get told we wear tinfoil hats, but when it comes out that they admit that they have the capability to do this, and they do it, the people who question people like me and you, they just shrug their shoulders and move on to the next thing that we talk about and do the same exact thing, and then we're proven right again. Just like with what you're seeing with the magic potion, since the majority of us have been anti-magic potions for a very long time, way before this happened, and we've been talking about how they were going to create something to get it into people's bodies because of the old Depop and everything else, and then that happens and they still think we're nuts. But take a look at them talking about manipulating weather. Pretty funny, right? Because, you know, they talk about the wildfires and things like that here. And, oh, do you think maybe we could do something to stop? Well, they don't want to stop that. Who do you think created them? Why do you think they're going on? And why do you think all of these other places are getting drilled with storms constantly, like never before? Suddenly because of the climate. Wink, wink. Take a look.
Okay, so we talked about this last week, and now we're going to do a deep dive with Davo. Dubai is making it rain in a sweltering desert by zapping clouds with electricity using drones.
Fascinating, isn't it?
So much to ask, but let's take it, and then we'll do a few questions.
Before we talk about what's happening in Dubai, let's talk about cloud seeding in general, because a lot of people, I don't think, understand what cloud seeding is. And this has been going on for decades, by the way. This is not something that's brand new. But traditionally, what cloud seeding is, it involves using aircraft or drones or even some cannons to push silver iodide up high into the clouds. Why silver iodide? Because that has the same crystallized structure as ice. So once it gets up into the clouds, it starts to accumulate ice on it and these large raindrops, which helps, especially in a cloud mass that's not really going to rain. It helps to bring rain and especially snow down.
So it works.
It does work marginally, but the problem with silver iodide through the years has been this, is that they feel it could be harmful to aquatic life. Okay. So over in Dubai, which is what you're seeing here, they took it a different step, and what they basically did, they had a fleet of drones that flew up into cloud cover, and they used electrical charges to force water droplets to combine into larger ones.
So not silver, not cloud seeding as we know.
No, they're not using the traditional silver iodide, which takes out the environmental aspect of that, okay? So they're using just electricity to create larger raindrops. Why larger raindrops? Because in Dubai, they only average about 4 inches of rain per year, as most of the rain that falls out of the clouds evaporates. Because it's so hot, it's so dry, and the water molecules are so tiny. So they're trying to stimulate, by using electricity, these droplets to be larger. Hence, they can make it to the ground. Now, I will tell you that the jury is still kind of out a bit on whether or not this was a fluke whether this is something that can work long term. So they need to continue with these drones, and they're going to continue to do this. Yes, Mr. Rhodes?
So, assuming it works and it wasn't a fluke, why not use this out in the western U.S. where all these wildfires are and the drought is going on? Could this not help us
That's
here?
a fantastic question, and they've been trying. This is stuff that, first of all, it's very expensive too. You're talking about millions and millions of dollars, which is fine when you're trying to alleviate a drought.
Sure.
It cannot work with wildfires. Here's the thing: you can't just throw silver iodide or electricity into a clear sky and it rains. It doesn't work that way. You have to have the right cloud structure, the right cloud height. They have to be tall, getting up well into the freezing layers. Then you can try to stimulate that process. And they've done that out west. During the winter time when they get days and days of cloud cover, they've done that, and they've noticed they've been able to increase the snowfall pack 5 to 15%. But the area and the weather, Russell, around wildfires is not conducive to that type of cloud cover, so you can't do it. In other words, we need to treat the drought, which will then alleviate the wildfires. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And that's the way it has to go. 5 to 15% increase in precipitation out west due to this. It's a start.
So when they're openly talking about the government being able to manipulate the weather and make it rain artificially using electrical charges from drones to manipulate the weather and force rainfall, you gotta wonder then if people still think it's a conspiracy. And of course they do, because their brains don't work, and they think when they hear this stuff that we're not even talking about the same thing. But this is what we've been talking about. Now, this goes back to JFK in the 60s, even openly discussing weather manipulation, being able to control the weather. You've all probably seen the videos I've done, even Disney talking about it. There was a Disney documentary talking about how we can do it for good. So when people even hear this, they're like, well, we can do that for good. You know, we can make it rain to stop a drought. They would never, ever use this type of power to do any damage or harm to the people of the world. They would never create hurricanes. Why would they want to destroy Louisiana and Texas? I don't know. I couldn't think of any reason. They just keep getting nailed, right? We had they talked about how they can create snow doing this as well. Wow, and Texas had some bizarre snowstorms last year, or was it the year before? And large power outages, which caused massive food shortages and chaos. You know, Louisiana, people continuing to get flooded out of the land. You know, this is just Mother Nature, of course. So they're trying this new method of cloud seeding, and saying it shows promise in helping to mitigate drought conditions worldwide without as many environmental concerns as previous methods involving salt flares. Well, if they're going to be using electrical charges, I mean, there's going to be a lot of people, I think, currently out there walking around that have some electrical charges going through them that are going to be able to be electrically charged as well. So pretty interesting. Maybe they'll just combust together. So they're talking about the government regularly zapping clouds to generate rain, which will help alleviate some of the nation's annual heat waves. So now that, they're openly admitting, and they're going to slowly keep admitting this stuff, no one's ever going to say, oh, these people were right, we were wrong. They're going to say that science and technology has evolved so that we could stop droughts and all these horrible things that climate change has caused. I mean, that's how it works, right? The dumb will keep getting dumber. They'll keep getting fed. They'll keep coming out and admitting to all this stuff that us supposed tinfoil hat wearers have been talking about forever. And instead of like people going, oh boy, that's, dangerous type of technology, kind of like what you're hearing with the AI stuff, right? Even though it's on purpose, they have people like Elon Musk coming out talking about how dangerous it's going to be, even though he's one of them and he's behind this, coming out and saying that they're afraid of what AI is going to do to the world, and we need to be really, really careful. And these people are still like, cool, let's keep going forward because we don't need to destroy humanity. Oh, we can manipulate the weather. Why? oh, well, we can do it because we can stop bad things from happening. They'd never, ever, 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 ever use it against anyone. They'd only use it for good because we can trust all these people, right? You have the liberals who don't trust Trump and the right, and then you have the right who don't trust the left. But as long as your politicians are in office, you can surely trust that they'll do what's best for you and your people, your group, your party, your political party, right? Instead of the people going, we don't need to give power like this to these people. We need to, all of the dumping in the skies that we see every single day. I mean, it's probably the most common thing you can find. And of course, YouTube, and YouTube has to put their little disclaimer in there, right? About what I mean. Every time you show a picture now of it, they put a disclaimer, and that's how anal they are about it. But, everybody, there's so many videos. This is my house today. Look out my yard. Would have been a perfect blue sky day. And instead I have these hazes floating around. But people are so distracted with their phones and everything else that they don't notice that there aren't blue sky days anymore. Rarely will you get one. Sure, you'll get one here and there. But usually back in the past, it would usually always be blue sky days. And if there were clouds, they would just be nice, pretty, puffy clouds. The sky wouldn't be gray. But hey. So they're coming out, they're talking about this, they're talking about cloud seeding. It's not a surprise, but I thought I would just show it to you because, I think we're at a point, right, where like we expect people to be, especially like people we've talked to throughout our lives, right? You guys and me, it's different, right? We don't know each other, but we're like, in the same community, we're friends. But, the hardest people to wake up are the people closest to you. So when you tell them all this stuff and then they see it actually happening, they still don't believe you. They're still like, oh, what? Well, I don't remember you talking about. And, oh, what you're saying is totally different. Contract and weather manipulation. No, they're talking about doing some things with zapping with drones for good. I mean, what? So it's super frustrating, but you can only laugh at the pride of these people who continue to trust in their governments and Big Brother to do what's best, because stories like this come out where they're saying, isn't this great? Because now we could stop droughts from occurring. Meanwhile, they have the technology. Oh, and, well, I wonder when they ever use it for good. Oh, just the story in Dubai, right? Not with these droughts, these fires or anything else. And of course, like I said, this uptick you constantly see in hurricanes and devastating storms that are destroying people's lives. Taking their homes, their pets, their children, flooding them out, costing them their jobs, But we can trust in Big Brother, right? So there it is for you on TV, talking about the old cloud seeding. I mean, you'd think people would wake up, but they won't. A reminder, check out the website at callforuprising.com. It's $2.99 a month. If you haven't checked it out, I recommend you do. I want to thank the Patrons. If you're not a Patreon, please consider becoming one. You're the ones that keep me here on YouTube. Obviously, my other channel has 2 strikes, so one more strike, that channel will be gone. And, having this channel under this name is not going to do me any favors as far as people being able to find my channel and search for it, because for starters, no one's going to get it. They don't get what I'm doing because they're not daily listeners, or they might just listen here and there, or they might not remember or understand why I have to change it's pretty ridiculous. So being a Patreon really helps, but hopefully, people will find new channels as I build them out, because that's all I can really do right now. So thank you guys for being here. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. God bless all of you and your families.